alive! It's alive!
Otherworldlyculture.com presents Dead On Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations, you're listening to Otherworldly Culture presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on Otherworldlyculture.com and on future select Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on the live shows link on the Otherworldlyculture.com website. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you from the land of lakes and landfills, Muskego, Wisconsin. Dead On Movie Reviews is now one of 3 rotating shows on Dead On Thursdays. Alternating weeks, you will see this program, or Dead On the Bases, our horror sports mashup, or our newest offering, Now Streaming, which is a panel discussion on a film that is currently hosted on a free ad-supported streaming service, which is sometimes called FAST. Not FAST, but FAST.
Which makes zero sense.
I found out the reason, because at first it was free ad-supported television. Then it's FAST. But it still makes no sense. Hey, you know what it is? It's time for me to introduce our Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. We start hailing from the Motor City, Detroit. You always love that part, Mike. Michael Cieslak is a lifetime reader and writer of horror, mystery, and speculative fiction. He has served as an officer in the Great Lakes Association of Horror Writers. He's the editor of the Eerie Tales anthologies, and he's the editor-in-chief of Dragon's Roost Press, and his works have appeared in a number of collections, including DOA Extreme Horror, Dead Science, Vicious Verses, and Reanimated Rhymes. He's a kilt enthusiast, some might even say a little bit overboard, and he's killing it over at the dragonsroost.biz. He's the one and lonely Mike Cieslak.
Good evening. Good evening.
I see you got the hat on. That's always good. Always good to see the hat. Next, our newest panelist, Caidin Fairchild. We met him at Horror Realm this past year, or now it's been over a year, and now he's part of the show. He's the founder of the Studio of Screams on YouTube and Instagram, and he's a huge fan of The Strangers. And let me tell you, they don't come any stranger. He is well known in the gaming community and aspiring actor, and he is a world-famous fact checker. Let's welcome Caidin.
That is correct, Tim. That is very correct.
If you haven't seen the Terrifier panel that we did, Caidin did a very good job fact checking me throughout the entire. And he wasn't even that disruptive. A little disruptive, you know.
It had to be a little bit.
Yeah. Nobody was going to try to take him out of the room. So, all right. Next, we bring you our panelist, Suzy MacIntyre. She's known to her friends, clients, and sworn enemies as Suzy Snowflake 412. Suzy loves to wear tiaras randomly and attending conventions with her clients. She is our host for the Now Streaming program, now one of the rotating programs on Dead On Thursdays. Now Streaming was recently named, listen to this, the 46th most popular podcast in film reviews in Spain.
Yay!
That's right. That's right. Here she is. Here's Suzy Snowflake. She comes with her own sound effect. You I got to press a button for Mike. I got to press a button for Caidin. But Suzy's like, I'll have none of that. I got my own.
Keep your damn sound effects.
All right, everybody, keep your ass in your seat, sharpen your pencil, and let's get unruly with the Faculty of Fear. We are going to start reviewing movies right now. And we're going to go first to our good friend in Detroit, Michael Cieslak.
Before you start putting up clips, I just want you to understand the kind of fan that I am. This is what I'm reading right now.
Oh my God. I didn't know you spoke Japanese.
He's learning Japanese.
Gorgeous book.
Okay.
It
Gotta
is
ask.
so heavy that I have to set it down right now.
I was about to say, that looks like one of those that when I was a kid, I used to go to the library and get that type of book all the time because there were lots of pictures. And it looks really heavy.
I'm literally only reading this in bed with it like propped up on another pillow, which is really funny because when we first got the puppies, my wife was sleeping on the floor with them to get them used to the house, and I would just set it over on her side of the bed. So there were a couple of mornings where I rolled over and like Goji was right there in the morning.
Wow.
It's a good way to start the day.
I will say I've been such an e-reader guy recently. Mm-hmm. I read a old history book about the Wild West because that's what type of geek I am. And it was my first time interacting with an actual paper book in a long time. And I'm like, this thing is heavy. What's going on here?
My wrist hurts, man.
Yeah, I'm used to this thing. Like, my e-reader weighs less than my phone, for goodness sakes. So, all right, tell us, what have you been watching?
I have been watching Godzilla 1954. Brief personal history, so you can catch my bias here as it's coming in. I showed you the book. I fucking love Godzilla. Every year, one of the local UHF stations, and if you know what a local UHF station is, it's probably time for you to schedule your prostate exam. Would host a Monster Week where they would show like Toho movies, like sometimes 2 a day, but all week long. And my mom would actually bring like the old black and white TV up into my room so all my little friends could come over and we'd watch it.
I particularly like that you're calling them your little friends.
Well, they were. They were my little friends when I was a little boy. Special thank you to the Historic Howell Theater, which is just finished putting on the monster-sized movie series. So I got to see this on the big screen.
Wow.
Which I had never done. I've never seen this particular film on the big screen before.
Now, which particular Godzilla was this? Was this the Japanese version or the anglicized Raymond Burr version? And if you can explain that to those that don't know what I'm talking about.
I believe that what you are talking about there is what I refer to as the inferior Americanized version, which came out in '56, Godzilla King of the Monsters, with Raymond Burr as Steve Martin, and not that Steve Martin. He's not a wild and crazy guy. And again, if you know Steve Martin as the guy that did Wild and Crazy Guy and not the one from Only Murders Left in the Building or whatever it's called, make that appointment. Call your doctor right now.
I was about to say, does he have an arrow through his head? But I knew that would date me.
Yes, this was the original, the 1954 version, in Japanese with English subtitles. There's a huge difference, and it's not just the addition of the Steve Martin character.
Really?
Kind of bookends the American version, try to make it more palatable for the overseas market. He plays a reporter who kind of explains what's going on to a lot of the things. And they had to film some like fill-in things where they've got like in Detroit we would call them fake shemps because we're all about the Sam Raimi here.
Right.
So they've got stand-ins for some of the actors. There's a lot of stuff that is cut out of the American version.
I was always of the impression that they basically put the Raymond Burr stuff. I can't say Steve Martin without
starting
in my head.
Into King Tut, yeah.
I always thought, because when I watched the movie, I'm like, oh, I can see exactly how this was put together. Because there's like a flashback of, well, this is how it all started. Like, okay, in the Japanese version, it starts there. Okay, got it. And they kind of throw you into the action at the beginning to get you excited about it. Okay, I get it. You know, and I thought they just kind of threw some stuff at the beginning and the end. And you're saying it's far more...
It is toned down. The American version is way toned down.
In what, the violence or the...
In the anti-nuclear messaging.
Okay.
That's essentially the theme of Godzilla.
Right.
Is the anti-war message, the anti-H-bomb message. It's there. I'm going to skip ahead of my notes a little bit since we're there already.
That's what I do. I throw people
I've got some quotes here. Brief aside, if you've lived under a rock your whole life and you don't know what the plot of the first Godzilla movie is, or if you are someone that, like me, watched them on TV in the 70s and 80s, they didn't usually show this one because it's a black and white movie. They didn't. And when they did show it, they showed the American version. So, you know, those of us in my age bracket are used to the Showa era films where Godzilla is less a force of nature that's destroying things and more like the protector of the earth, beating the crap out of any of the other kaiju that wanted to fart around on his turf. This is not that. This is a full-on monster that is just there to destroy things.
I remember, because I'm familiar with the Raymond Burr version, I remember that it was subtitled, and I was shocked because all the Godzilla movies I'd ever watched were all dubbed and not that well.
Yes.
I know they take a lot of heat for that, but honestly, I watched a lot of Chinese kung fu movies. And I always felt those were better dubbed than the Godzilla movies. I don't know why.
Which is saying something.
Yeah. Yeah. But, okay. I'll let you actually do your...
Oh, no worries. It starts off with a tragedy. There's some sailors. They're on a commercial fishing vessel. They're just like chilling at the end of the day. And then this look of terror comes over them. And their ship blows up and it's on fire. They set off part of an SOS. The officials on shore get it. They send out some other boats to find out what's going on. Those boats never come back. They're destroyed. The one that goes to pick up the survivors gets destroyed. One survivor makes it back on a raft and explains they were attacked by Godzilla, which is a beast from ancient stories of... Odo Island. You've got this. He's kind of like the prototypical Crazy Ralph, in that he gives you that little bit of exposition that you need to understand what's going on. Godzilla is this mythical creature that they would blame on whenever the fishing harvest when the fish levels would drop drastically, and after he ate up all the fish in the ocean, he would come up on land and destroy things. So to keep that from happening, they would sacrifice one of the female villagers. And they don't do that anymore, he explains to the newspaper person. This is while they're watching a a ritual dance. He's like, this dance is all that's left of that ceremony. And he seems kind of bummed, like, oh, in my day, we would have killed somebody for this. But going on to the whole radiation portion of this, Dr. Yamane, played by Takashi Shimura, says he gets called in once Godzilla comes up onto the island and wrecks a bunch of houses and kills some livestock and some people, and some other people are injured. And there's a ton of radiation, just like in these giant friggin' monster footprints. And he concludes that the only proper thing to do is to study Godzilla to see how he can survive all of this radiation. And maybe that's something we can learn from him, is when he's asked if he can be killed, he says it's impossible. Godzilla was baptized in the fire of the H-bomb and survived. What could kill it now? Right now, our priority should be to study the incredible power of survival. There's
now, the correct answer to that is what can kill Godzilla. It would be most of season 1 of Monarch. Sorry.
The scene that I believe was cut from the American version has some commuters on a train, and they're discussing this whole Godzilla problem. And one of the ladies actually says, I can't believe this is happening again. I managed to get out of Nagasaki before that was bombed by the Americans. And now this.
Well, it seems like she's having a bad day.
It's not, like I said earlier, it's not your happy-go-lucky, funny Godzilla movie. He's not doing that crazy dance, and he's not flying backwards on his tail or anything like that. There are some really tragic scenes. There's lingering shots of Tokyo once he starts the attack, where just entire areas of the city are on fire and people are being killed brutally. One of the really heart-wrenching one is there's this lady who's crouching with her children in this building that's slowly catching on fire, and she says, "We're gonna join Daddy. We'll be where Daddy is soon." And you're like, oh, holy crap. And then after that, there's an extended scene of like a makeshift hospital that's in this big building, and people are just running back and forth, and you got people covered in burns, and it's the same kind of thing we saw after the evacuation, after the bombs were dropped to end World War II. It's been a while since I've seen the American version, so I don't remember how prominent the love triangle is. But there is a love triangle in this film between Dr. Yamane's daughter, Amiko, played by Momoko Kochi, her fiance, Dr. Serizawa.
Hey, not bad.
Who lost an eye in World War II, played by Akira Hirata, and the fishing fleet owner, Ogata, played by Akira Takadara. She wants to break it off with Serizawa, but can't really find the time. And when she actually does go to break it off with him, he says, before she has a chance to do that, he shows her his latest invention, which is the oxygen destroyer, a weapon that is so terrible that he doesn't want to use it to destroy Godzilla, despite the fact that it might work, because there's the possibility that once this is used, then the government's going to want to use it, and it's going to get used again and again and again, just like the H-bomb was. Right. He doesn't want to be responsible for bringing another weapon of mass destruction into the world, which I'm going to spoil a 72-year-old movie. All right. The ending of it. This is what leads to his sacrifice at the end. He burns all his notes. There's the three of them are arguing at one point whether or not he should make the oxygen destroyer available. And what that does is it breaks down oxygen and then liquefies everything. It's pretty horrific when he does it for an aquarium of fish that just becomes skeletonized. He's saying, no, there's no way we can do this. There's no way I can allow this to be used. And then there's a children's choir that's singing like the song for hope. And it's, again, one of those devastating scenes. And he's like, okay, I'll do it, but we're going to do this on my terms. So he sets fire to all those notes. He's going to be the one that's going to deliver the oxygen destroyer device. And then while he's down there, he cuts his airline and he cuts the line that would reel him back in. So all the information dies with him. One of the things
you just spoiled this movie for.
I know. I feel really, really bad about that.
My God, I can't believe you did that. Oh.
I was supposed to watch this Sunday.
You know what that storyline reminds me of? Reminds me of Nobel from Nobel Prize. Because the Nobel Prize was started to Alfred Nobel because he developed dynamite, right? And he thought this is going
to be great for mining.
Yeah,
and then
it
people
became
said
a
no.
weapon immediately.
When you watch the '54 version, you get the brilliant music that is composed by Akira Ifukube. Chef's kiss. I could go on and on and on about this. I don't want to drag everyone's names into it. Like the special effects director, Tsuburaya, director Ishiro Honda, who is at the time, one of the three greats working for Toho. And I found out reading this book was a close friend of Akira Kurosawa, whose films I also love. So,
those are some great ones. Now, in the Japanese version, does it have this sound effect? Is that
yes, it does.
It is.
Yes, it does. One of my ringtones.
Okay, I do have somewhere, and I'm going through folders right now, seeing if I can find it. I have the Godzilla theme music.
Yes.
Because I like the dun dun dun. That particular motif I just love to death. But I can't find it for the life of me. Which is,
I'll riff while you look.
This happens every time on this show.
Originally they wanted to make this stop motion like King Kong. But they realized that they didn't have the personnel with the knowledge working for the Japanese film system, and it would take too long, which is why they went with the suitmation, which is big guy in a rubber suit stomping on miniatures. And excuse me, that's one of the things that is amazing looking through this book, Godzilla, the first 70 years, is the amount of detail on these miniature buildings. They are like almost perfect replicas of the buildings, the actual buildings that the monster is smashing. You could like street for street see them, and that's part of because Tsuburaya, before all the Godzilla films during the war, he was in charge of making movies for the war effort, and part of that was these extremely detailed, extremely like hyper accurate sets. The one thing that people will probably go, when they watch this is that Godzilla does not look like the Godzilla you're used to. This is a lumpy, misshapen, kind of stocky, kind of grotesque-looking creature. And part of the reason for that is they wanted, like, from the shoulders up to really look like the mushroom cloud after a bomb went off. And there's the first time you see Godzilla in the daylight, he emerges from behind a hill, and just that profile coming up like that, you're like, okay, I see what you did there. I got it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I knew he developed over the years to look different, and I think he's been different heights throughout.
Yes, he does get progressively taller. I think that at one point he goes a little smaller, and part of that is because all the buildings are getting taller too. At the time that this was filmed, there was like no building should be any taller than this, and that fit right in. But then fast forward a couple of decades, and you've got these skyscrapers, and if he was still only 150 feet tall, it would look ridiculous. So he scaled up as the city scaled up.
I will say in the latest Legendary movie, they had like New Tokyo or whatever. Yeah. Wow, that is a very different world these days. Holy cow. Okay, there's no way I'm ever going to find this thing.
Okay.
No way. I do have about 30 versions of this, though. And they're all called Godzilla. Yeah, I could just keep playing that. I also somehow have a picture I made with AI of a witch taking on the Godzilla. Playing tennis. I'm not even making that one up. Wow. When did they stop making the Toho, the first bunch of Godzilla movies? It had to be the 70s or 80s?
Let me get an exact date for you because I had it here. 75 was the last of the Showa era films.
Okay.
Which was, I'm going to get my order. Terror of Mechagodzilla, 1975, was the last of the Showa era.
And I think I saw that one in the theaters then, because there was one I saw as a real little shaver. And I remember seeing Godzilla 85 on television and thinking, hey, this is much better than that Mechagodzilla thing. Because they made Godzilla the bad guy again.
Yes.
In that one. He is rocking some pretty bad breath in these pictures.
It's just kind of a mist in this one.
Yeah.
Also.
But things are setting on fire when he's doing it. So.
Yes. So it's
doing its job.
So before I just continue and take up the whole thing, I should probably swing over to grading as the other panelists are slowly falling asleep here.
Caidin's lights went out.
Oh, it did get dark on my side.
Caidin's sitting in the dark. I don't want to know what you were doing just now, Caidin.
I talk so long, it's nighttime.
Wow, that's spooky.
Excuse you, sir.
And yeah, there's cats walking through.
A giant cat walking through.
You better get to your stuff there, Mike, before.
Is this a perfect movie? No. Are some of the things kind of ridiculous looking back at them across the better part of a century? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do some of the effects hold up? Yes.
Really?
The scenes where Godzilla's in the background and the people are running in the foreground are cut together really, really well. Especially when you consider the fact that you had two different directors working on that. You had one person, Ishiro Honda was working with the dramatic people, and the Tsuburaya was doing the special effects with the monster. So to get those edited in and composited properly is kind of amazing. And part of it's nostalgia. Part of it is that this birthed the longest running cinematic series ever. 70 plus years, still going strong. This is a solid A for me.
Ooh. You don't give those out too easy.
I mean, this was this was such a nice change after the last show.
Okay.
Almost whiplash-inducing the switch between that one and this one.
Now, Mike, I do have to apologize that I took all my graphics from Godzilla King of the Monsters. But
Those are the ones that are easier to find.
they also looked nice and retro.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted the retro look. So that had a lot to do with it. But all right, so that is Godzilla 1954. Right, yeah. All right, that means we're going to you next, Caidin. Caidin,
All right.
what have you been watching?
I had to go with one of my favorite films in horror, or at least home invasion wise, and that's You're Next, also known as Barbara Crampton's comeback film. I'm in love with this movie. I mean, so much so it's one of the first finished pieces that I have tattoo wise. I think from start to finish, this movie is honestly beautiful. There's your common horror tropes in it, but not in the sense that you would expect, where everybody's tripping on, ladybugs and rocks and making dumb decisions like splitting up and going into dark tunnels. I like the fact that this movie gets right to the point. We start off straight, first 5 minutes of the film. It's a young couple that breaks one of the sacred rules of horror movies, never to have sex with a killer on the loose. Obviously, that leads them to their untimely demise.
Hold on. You're never supposed to have sex with the killer that's on the loose?
Oh, no, never supposed to have sex in a horror
Don't
movie.
have
It's got
sex
a wall.
with the person killing people.
That's
Well,
it.
let's not kink shame here, Caidin.
Well, I need to know these rules. Because you don't know. It might come up.
We have the obvious, the weed smokers die first, the couples having sex die first, the classic horror tropes from all the old school films, Friday the 13th, Halloween, those kind of films. So right after this couple's little love-making scene, they split off, the man hops into the shower and the girl grabs a drink. I'm avoiding using names because I feel like this is a very underappreciated film. And I kind of want to base my review with a little bit of suspense and not kind of letting people know who's who gets taken out, stuff like that. Kind of want to leave the question in the air for people to go and watch themselves. But as they split up, girl puts on a song. Beautiful song choice, by the way. I love music when it comes to movies. They chose to go with Looking for the Magic by the Dwight Tilley Band. I believe that this music just playing on an old, eerie, scratchy record in the background just kind of adds to the suspense. As the man exits the shower, he sees his girlfriend laying there in a pile of blood. As the camera zooms out, we get our nice little title card of You're Next in her blood. After this, we get a beautifully shot scene that introduces our main cast. We find out the plot of the movie is they're on a family vacation, going to their vacation home, going to enjoy a nice holiday dinner around Christmas time. Family gets there. There's a little bit of build-up. The mom thinks that there's somebody upstairs. She goes outside waiting for the rest of the family as the dad checks upstairs, opening every room, opening every door, checking every nook and cranny, just to make sure that, everything's safe. He doesn't find anybody as his other son comes up behind him, gives him a little jump scare, as the suspense build makes you jump a little bit. Tells him, his mom thought that somebody was in there. They go back outside, and this is where we meet our main couple of the film. The rest of the family comes into play. We start learning their names, a little bit about them, get to kind of see the chemistry between the brothers. The sisters kind of a little bit goofier than them. The brothers have a little bit of argumentative side. They like to bicker and fight a little bit, but we don't know why at this time. So this leads to the family dinner table scene, which arguably is one of the reasons I love this movie so much. They set up the family table, the family's eating, having conversation when the two brothers start taking personal shots at each other's lives. We find out that the one brother is a college professor, and his girlfriend that he brought with him is a former student of his. His brother calls this out, and conversation gets a little more heated. This scene feels very natural. The argument doesn't seem forced, kind of like most family arguments in movies, and that's because it's simply not really scripted. They gave them the first few lines that they had to throw out and told them to kind of argue amongst themselves from there, from what they felt right. And I believe improv really adds to authenticity when it comes to character emotion, especially when done right. So this scene really lets you feel the emotion and the tension between the family. You know, this isn't a perfect family like we thought at the start. It's not some loving, super happy, you know, easygoing family. There's tension and there's drama in the air. There's background, you know, hate towards each other more than there is love. So as this starts to build up, one of the characters stands up and goes to look out the window as he noticed something out there, and the window breaks. Camera zooms out, character turns around, and there's an arrow inside of him. He collapses and falls to the ground. And with that, 27 minutes into the film, we have our first main character death. The characters start freaking out, panicking a little bit. The other brother stands up, goes to move the mom out the way, and gets hit in the back with an arrow. He doesn't die, but he's super injured at this point. They all kind of fall to the ground, scatter, trying to figure out where the arrow is coming from, what's happening, why it's happening. And it leads to another scene that I like, and that kind of made me say that it's not like most horror movies where you got characters making dumb decisions and tripping on rocks. They all get together in a little group real quick, stay down low so you know they can't be seen through the windows, and one by one they pick up dining room chairs and they run past the window using the chair as a shield. Which, in horror movies, you don't see the victims acting smart too often when it comes to surviving. They just kind of do anything in the moment, which normally isn't the best choice. So I think that's another reason I love this film so much is there's just a lot of authenticity and a lot of fight or flight in it. After that, we unfortunately now 34 minutes in, so only a few minutes between the first main character kill and the second main character kill. At this point, you kind of learn, you know, that the movie's not here to play. We're off to a fast start. We have 8 main characters total. There's 3 couples, and then there's the mom and the dad. So 34 minutes into the film, we already have 2 of them gone. As this goes on, the family discusses a little bit. They kind of come up with a plan, and that's where things start to go wrong. They think that there's only one killer, everything's going to be okay. The one girl goes to run outside as things get calmed down, and her throat gets slit by a wire that's outside of the door. This kind of shows you that this was more planned than it was just a random attack. Seeing as now not only are they shooting through the window, but they have traps set so they can't leave the house. So after that death, chaos breaks out again. They start freaking out. They start coming up with a plan. The mother goes upstairs. As the mother goes upstairs to lay down, kind of get away from everything, we find out that the noise she heard earlier on was indeed somebody in the house. The wolf mask killer comes out from underneath the bed and takes our third main victim 36 minutes into the film. So within a 10-minute gap from 26 minutes into the film to 36 minutes in, we have lost 3 of our 8 main characters, as well as just 2 side characters to start off the intro of the movie. With that leaves 60 minutes left in the film, a little bit under. It was like 59 and a half minutes. And we're kind of already off to a rocky start. We get a little gap where, you know, there's a little bit of planning. We find out that one of the characters has a little bit of training in her. She starts making traps, coming up with a plan. And this is where we get our first kill of one of the killers, not one of our victims. So they fight back. They take the lives of one of the killers. She removes the mask from him and asks the rest of the family, does anybody know this guy? None of them do. Or we think. As this movie is filled with a lot of plot twists, I don't want to get too much into detail or go too much further with it.
Sure.
So this one is staying a little bit briefer, kind of a little bit shorter. But I do think that there's a lot in this film to dissect and a lot to actually enjoy. Multiple killers, smart victims, a victim that actually fights back rather than everybody just running. And then plot twist. One plot twist that they kind of throw in your face, everybody can guess, and then a second one to back it up that I almost guarantee nobody who watches this movie will be able to put their thumb on it right away. I truly don't think that the second plot twist is easily guessable by any means, and that's another reason I love this film. They make one plot twist so obvious that you don't expect there to be another. So I believe this is a beautifully done film. Starts off quick. It's not a slow, long, boring film, which I think a lot of home invasion films sadly are. You normally only have one couple, two couples as the victims, really whoever's in the house, maybe one neighbor or a cop. But you normally only get 2, maybe 3 kills total. The first 45 minutes of the movie, we have 2 random side characters, 1 killer, and 3 victims already dead. And with the cast full of only, 14 people that you end up seeing on the screen in general, including the cop at the very end, I would say that that's a very fast kill time and very short amount of time between kills. So once the action hits in this movie, it doesn't really give you a chance to sit back, breathe, and relax. From that point on, it's all fight, flight, and see who survives and who dies.
All right. Is it time for grading?
I would say so. I think that's a good point to cut it off. I think if I say too much more, it's going to kind of spoil the plot twist aspect of it.
Yeah, you don't want to give that away. Okay. What are you grading this one?
Unbiased for my love for the film, I'm going to give it an A. I wanted to do an A+, but I truly just can't stomach putting it lower than an A. From the acting to the cinematography to the music choices in the background. I mean, even the simple sound effects, doors creaking and opening or closing, just every little nook and cranny of this movie I think is beautifully done. Suspense build-up, character build-up, kills, time between kills. I don't see many flaws when it comes to this film.
So we have 2 movies so far in today's show, and both of them have received A's.
No pressure, Suzy.
The pressure is on,
no pressure,
Suzy.
No pressure.
I
Holy cow.
feel no pressure. None.
You don't feel any pain either based on what I'm seeing you wear. All right. It's time, Suzy.
All right.
Tell us what you've been watching.
What did I watch? Cold
You
Storage.
forgot.
All right. It's called Cold Storage. Something sort. Anyway, it is described as when a highly dangerous fungus escapes from a secret laboratory, a former bioterrorism agent is called back into action. Alongside 2 young employees, he must confront an invisible and out of control threat. This was recently released, like 2026.
Just hold on a second. I want to poll our other panelists. Have either of you other 2 even heard of this movie before?
I actually have not yet.
That's what I've been finding. Okay. Go ahead, Suzy. I just wanted to check on that.
I don't know how I came across it, but I know I wanted to see it when it was first came out. Didn't get a chance to, so I was able to rent it on what's that thing called that we all watch movies on?
A television.
Time. I only rented it because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. I wish I would have bought it, but anyway, that's besides the point. So anyway, like I said, it came out in 2026, but apparently it was filmed in like 2022 or 2023. So I don't know.
Okay.
I tried to do a deep dive, couldn't figure it out. I don't know why it was shelved for so long. But anyway, so it starts out however many years ago when like the whole Skylab thing was falling down on us, and we all thought it was gonna flatten us.
1979.
Yes. So that's where it starts out. And then an oxygen tank survives like it falling, and it lands somewhere in Australia where a farmer in some small town, it's a small town very reminiscent of, when we watch Tremors and they're all in that little small town of perfection standing on the roofs and things. It was very much like that. But anyway, where was I going with that? Anyway, so the farmer in Australia, he finds the oxygen tank and he makes like this really ghetto-fied museum where he charges $1 to see it or whatnot. And you have that, and then it jumps to like the early 2000s. I think it's the early 2000s. And there's some chemist chick who gets a call in the middle of the night. Some monstrous thing escapes from the tank, and no one's safe, blah, 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 blah. But I mentioned the whole thing about how the town's kind of like Tremors, because I think it's kind of neat that the chick who plays the chemist is Kevin Bacon's daughter in real life. So anyway, so she arrives in town with 2 government agents, Liam Neeson and some other chick. And once they're in town, that they find the entire population is dead. Like dead, exploded, decimated, bodies everywhere, dead. And we find out that the surviving piece of the Skylab was originally sent up into space deliberately, carrying infectious fungus for study. And I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but they sent it up into space. And then when it came down, it kind of mutated upon reentry. It was stable in this museum in Australia for years until something happened. I don't know, like the guy was cleaning it too hard or something. And fungus escaped the tank and it went on a rampage and just, like I said, killed the entire town. Kevin Bacon's daughter, she goes to take a sample of it to like figure out what was going on and all this and stuff. And she has this like little impenetrable hazmat suit thingy, and a tiny little piece of the fungus gets in and it penetrates the suit that's not supposed to be penetrated. And then poof, she blows up and dies, and that's all she's in it for. And then the so the surviving bioterrorism people, then they call the army people in and they decimate the entire town, blow everything up. It's now ashes, everything except for, of course,
The sample.
the sample. That, instead of blowing it up, they take to this temperature-controlled government facility thingy, whatever, and they bury it in the bottom of that. And then, yay, it's nice and safe and everything, or so we think. And then that's it. And then it jumps to like current day. You flash forward to like today, 2022 or 2026, whichever you want to go with. And the location where it's stored at is now your run-of-the-mill self-storage facility with 24/7 security, average Joe security. Now, I think we've all probably, if we haven't rented from one of those self-storage places, we've at least been to them. None of them have like actual people doing security, but this one does. So I don't know.
But this is a little bit more of a security than you're usually seeing because it's an ex-army, facility. So this might be a little more expensive, a little higher security.
But nobody knows that it's an ex-government facility thing. So I don't know why that they would have.
No, I get that. I'm saying because they inherited such a strong building, because the building looks like a bunker, whereas most of the self-storage places I've seen look like somebody built a number of garages next to each other and they have padlocks on the bottom of
Well, this was one that's like one of the buildings that you go inside. It's temperature.
Right. Yeah.
I used to have one like that, and it wasn't nearly as nice as these pictures. And I have to say, though, that the thing that I like best about the one that I have now is that there are no people there ever. I never have to worry about running into, like, the guy that cleans, because there's just nobody there, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyways, we have these two average Joe security guards, Joe Keery from Stranger Things and some other chick. So they're there. It's her first night, and I don't know, they hate their jobs, they hate their lives because they're stuck doing security for a crappy little self-storage thingy. So during their shift, they hear this strange beeping through the walls, and because their job sucks, their boss is a shady motherfucker, and they have nothing better to do, they decide to go explore what this beeping is, and they take a sledgehammer, and they sledgehammer boop, 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 whatever.
Some drywall.
Yeah, they knock down the wall to investigate, and they travel all through these secret walls and down these tunnels deep below, like way, way, way below ground level. And they find this secret military, whatever. They discover a giant rat king covered in the green slime. They decide some bad shit's going to go down, and they call the emergency number on some random container that they find, and poof, Liam Neeson wakes up from his slumber to save the day. But he does not save the day before the green fungus runs amok, infects their slimy security boss guy and his biker gang that's there to steal a bunch of 4K televisions. The security chick, it kills her cat and the psycho baby daddy, poor sweet kitty. And it also kills an elevator savvy. Oh, shut up! Everybody died. And it also, there's one elevator savvy 8-point buck and a sweet suicidal widow played by the amazing Vanessa Redgrave. Another character to mention is the military chick gone rogue. I don't know her name. She was from House of the Dragon. And throughout the whole thing, she helps Liam Neeson because he's retired and nobody wants to listen to him about what kind of bad shit's about to go down. It's only an hour and 39 minutes, which is like the perfect.
You forgot one character that's played by a frequent horror guy. Richard Brake is in.
Yeah, but he played a jerk in it, so who cares?
Well, I think that's generally who he plays.
But it was only an hour and 39 minutes, which is like my sweet spot because 2 hours entirely too long. Hour and like 48 minutes, I start to get too antsy. So anyway, that was it. The director was Johnny Campbell. He did he did a bunch of stuff. The only title I know is Doctor Who. And the writer, David Coep, I think I'm saying his name right.
Koepp, yeah.
He did Toy Soldiers, Jurassic Park, Stir of Echoes, another nod to Kevin Bacon there. So he's done a bunch of stuff, and the makeup and the special effects were actually
Indiana Jones, right? Did you say that?
Oh no, that too. I forgot about that. Yeah. So
he was one of the top screenwriters for a lot of years in Hollywood.
The makeup and the special effects were probably some of the best. The CGI were kind of lame, but I mean. Yeah. But other than that, the makeup was actually pretty on point. Yeah. The whole makeup department deserves a huge shout out. That was all pretty great and impressively done. And that was that.
There's a number of I've also seen it. There are a number of jump scares in here that I thought were very effective.
Yes.
Because it is more of a horror comedy type thing. It isn't that, the feeling of dread. That isn't what you're going to get with this one. Because it is relatively light. But, boy, it jumps out at you every so often and really gives you something to look at.
I do have to hurry up and give a rating because apparently my cat unplugged my computer and it's about to die, so...
Okay, we're getting to the grading... right now. Whoops, we still have the old grade up. Let's take
and it's an A! 3 for 3!
Wait, no, listen. It was a fun and entertaining splatterfest with an equally fun and entertaining soundtrack. Like, the soundtrack was really, really great, too. If you like campy splatter horror movies, like I do, like Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2, or like Evil Dead 2, then you should enjoy this one. I cannot give it an A, though. Like, I can't say anything bad about the movie, but I can't give it an A because, well, rest in peace, little kitty who did nothing wrong. It died not once in the movie.
There is some horrific animal torture in this movie.
Yes.
Thank you for the warning.
Peter's
who cares if the deer died because they're just full of ticks and make everything miserable. Plus, the ones that aren't infected by ticks are kind of tasty, but that's besides the point. But don't kill the fucking cat. So because of that, it gets a B. It was great. It was fun. Like, you should watch this and enjoy it.
I would concur with a B. This is a pretty solid B. This is a good movie to watch with a bunch of people.
Okay.
I think. Because this is the type of movie
bunch of fellow cat lovers.
Well, you're going to be yelling at the screen.
Yay!
We were talking about Caidin's movie where there were intelligent characters. The Stranger Things kid, he is definitely not an intelligent character. So
he played here's the thing, though. But he was fine. He played
his character. Yeah.
Liam Neeson played Liam Neeson.
Right.
Joe Keery played Joe Keery. The guy from Horror Realm, Richard Blake, whatever his name is, he played the same guy he always played.
He played a jerk. Yeah. But
I'm not saying any of that negative. They all played.
Richard Brake played the character that you always get in one of these movies. He was the authority figure that doesn't believe anything. And he was perfectly cast. I mean, absolutely perfect cast. All right.
They all were pretty much perfectly cast for what they did. So, like I said, don't take it seriously. It was great fun. And like you said, it had jump scares. The gore was great. The splatter was great.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
it's
kitty
all right.
kill was not.
Okay, all right. Calm down. This is why you're wearing what you're wearing. All right. Though I do like the t-shirt. All right.
Thanks, Jeffy Jeff.
All right. It's time for my movie before things start falling apart over by you, Susie. And my movie is one you may not have heard of, but you're going to recognize who was involved in it because this was a TV movie written and directed by John Carpenter. It stars Lauren Hutton, David Burney, and Adrienne Barbeau. I wonder if Adrienne Barbeau would ever be involved in another movie with John Carpenter. That's certainly strange. He made this one just prior to Halloween. It's been considered not a lost film, but it's been very inaccessible until recently. And I think it became accessible because with streaming, all of a sudden people needed content, and hey, TV movies are good enough. Is what happened, because this was definitely like an ABC Saturday night movie type of flick. Lauren Hutton is actually on record as saying this was her best movie outing, and it's called Someone's Watching Me. I'll do the sum up of the movie very quickly in broad strokes. This is a stalking movie. Okay, so you're not going to get any supernatural monsters or anything of that nature. This is a very grounded film. Lauren Hutton is like a local television producer. And, I mean, she looks like Lauren Hutton, so she gets herself an admirer that is making her life fairly miserable. I shouldn't say fairly. Very miserable. And the movie is... You always feel like this movie is very, very locked down. Because this was done after John Carpenter had already made Assault on Precinct 13. So you know that he's able to do a bigger film. In fact, they have a short joke in this movie where she's listening to radio and they're talking about Rio Taco is like an ad that she's doing. And for John Carpenter fans, you know that his favorite movie was Rio Bravo, which Assault on Precinct 13 was basically a updated version of. So you hear that. So there are things for John Carpenter fans that you're going to notice. Something that you will also notice is that they were using the same font and same music as Columbo for this thing. I mean, this was a movie of the week, and we all know John Carpenter from his very inventive soundtracks. This ain't one of them. I feel like they probably had Mr. Carpenter at gunpoint and said, you will use the stock music. We're not paying for something else. But he does a good job for a movie that's primarily a thriller, not maybe a horror film per se, more of a thriller type of feel. It builds suspense very well, which by the end of the movie, you're really like, she's in trouble. Bad things are happening, and the action is escalating very nicely throughout the film. Now, what are some things to look out for? Well, a good thing to look out for is all the smoking in the workplace you get to see in a 1978 film. Holy cow, they're in that TV studio and they are puffing away like crazy. It's very dated. You see reel-to-reel tape at one point. The sound of the ringing phone is that 1970s or before ringing phone. It's no ringtones, none of that sort of thing. The surveillance devices are very much of that time. You know, you've got telescopes and like you see that telescope picture I have right there. It's all very analog. But the thing that really date stamps this is the overall attitude toward stalking. This was definitely made when we had not yet really made the laws against stalking. And a lot of that is seen in this story, which I guess this story was based on some real events, obviously taken to the top level and all of that. But John Carpenter was basically ahead of his time on this one. I can't remember the timeline, but I know on Pam Dauber's one TV show, one of the characters on, I think,
My Sister Sam.
Yep.
She had died at the hands of a stalker, and I'm pretty much thinking that's when the stalker laws actually started going through.
I was going to say that, yeah.
And I think that was early to mid 80s. So you do get a lot of, well, I went to the police and they said there's nothing we can do. You just have to write down when these phone calls came through and, that sort of thing. I'm like, today that would not be the case, thankfully.
Yeah, Rebecca Schaefer, 1989.
It was that late?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So most of the 80s, stalking was still fair game. Holy cow. I will say, knowing some people that have been the victim of this, the laws aren't enough at this point yet either, because some people go through some pretty hellacious stalking in this world. I will say you can tell that this is a director that isn't just going to do a standard shot. And you notice some of that in this film, like that shot right there, that showing the stalker in shadow as he's looking through the telescope. There are some what I like to commonly call Waldo vision shots, where look in the background, you might see something that really add to the suspense. At some point, and this is like the beginning of computers, right? At some point, the stalker starts getting control of the lights. And apparently, he also had control of gels and camera focus, because it starts getting pretty creepy in there from time to time. Another cute detail is the tower that she lives in is called Arkham Tower, but this was not a DC illusion. This was more toward the Lovecraft side of things. I did do some reading, and it looks like this is an actual tower in LA that still exists. But I would say this is a very interesting movie to watch, where John Carpenter has definitely got handcuffs on, and it's like, well, you can't have lots of blood and gore. You don't get to use your own music. You're going to be using a television crew that just got off McMillan and Wife and is going to be doing an episode of McCloud later on today. And it really wrote a very tight, good script. Has great suspense moments. It's a swift movie. Really, you look at a stalking movie, it's like, okay, you find out you have a stalker, stalk, and then final showdown. There's not a whole lot of story to put in there. They do a nice job of keeping things interesting, making it fill the 90 minutes or whatever this thing to running. I don't have Jeff here to tell me how many minutes long this is. But it comes to a swift but effective conclusion. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to, because I thought, we're just stalking away here. We're going to do a little stalking. And it was a lot more fun than I expected. And I'm going to give it a B+. Anybody got any questions for it? Oh, I should mention, it was almost impossible to find. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mike, as always, has a book available to him. It's almost
It was 1 hour and 37 minutes.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's how many commercials they had back then, right? 20 minutes, over 2 hours. What was I going to say? Well, it doesn't matter. It's a fun movie for you to check out. Oh, it's on Tubi these days. I got some sort of the version that's out on archive.org is really freaking good. I mean, it almost feels like it's a Blu-ray or something. It's really great quality. So I would suggest to people, if you don't know archive.org, by the way, that's a lot of times stuff that's fallen into the public domain and that sort of thing. I'm thinking there must be some sort of copyright problem with this movie, though I didn't hear any music in the background. I mean, it was all stock music. I'm not quite sure why it was out on archive.org, but boy, I'm glad it was. It was great to see it out there, and who knows, by the time you might see this, it might be gone. I do find something interesting if you look at the poster that's over there that says, from the creator of Halloween. It shows Lauren Hutton and Adrienne Barbeau, and then Charles Cyphers, who he's in the movie, but he doesn't have a very big part. The actual leading man of the movie, kind of Lauren Hutton's love interest, is played by David Birney. Are any of you familiar with David Birney? I didn't think so. David Birney was on everything in the 70s. He was like one of these guys that would show up on the Love Boat one week. He was on, he was in a different TV show every week. And his wife, Baxter Birney, went on to be very well known for Family Ties.
He was on St. Elsewhere.
Was he? Not as a main character, Birney. He was probably a guy that got sick and died on Denzel Washington's operating table or something. But
what I was going to say about it when you first started talking about it,
yeah,
because it's from 1978, and it's about a stalker, and it was a made-for-TV movie. I at first was confusing it with Are You in the House Alone, which is also another movie from 1978 that was made for TV and was about a stalker. Yeah. So my question is, what was up in 1978 with all these stalker movies?
Well, I will tell you what I found out about this one is it was based on an actual case, I believe in Chicago, if my memory is serving me, that had happened a couple of years earlier. It would not surprise me, John Carpenter was basically a writer for hire on this. They said, here, make a movie based on this idea. So I would not be surprised that was like a big story and multiple projects came off of it. Just like when Armageddon came out, we also got Deep Impact and, where there might have been rival projects.
Or like Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Yeah, exactly. That's another one. But if you're not familiar with David Birney, he did a lot of where he was a leading man, but like on a TV movie of the week or a one shot. Yeah, one thing to keep in mind: this was the time of the murder mystery wheels on television, like Columbo. A lot of people I say, Columbo was a TV series. It wasn't really. It was one of 3 shows that would rotate on the murder mystery movie wheel. And I think it was McLeod was definitely one of them, and I think it was Macmillan and Wife was the other. And each week it'd be a different murder mystery with one of these different people. So they were just churning this stuff out in the 70s. Murder mysteries, particularly cozy murder mysteries, Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, that type of thing, were huge in the late 70s. That's the type of analysis you get right here on Otherworldly Culture. All right. Well, it is time for our shameless plugging, which everybody always loves that part of the show. Just amazing excitement. Let's see if everything's... Oh, look at that. Everything turned on. That's so nice. We got a lot to talk about here, but I'm still hitting buttons. Sorry about that. Hey, everybody, remember...
Just 3 hours later, we might be wrapping up.
Right. Dead on Thursdays every week at this time on this channel. Just check us out with our 3 rotating shows. But you can always catch all of our shows in either audio. You can find us in video on YouTube. But in audio format, we're on all the major podcasting networks. Also, if you're one of those people that plays around with these strange rectangular objects that have paper inside of them, they're like cellulose repositories, you can check out our friends at Dragon's Roost. Mike, what's going on over at the Roost?
Actually, April is a bye month for us. We don't have any conventions until May 8th and 9th. We will be at the Halfway to Halloween Expo. And if you are in southeastern Michigan area and you are at all interested in Halloween and everything spooky, this is the show to come out to. There will be a number of vendors there selling things, as Dragon's Roost Press will be. A number of our authors will be there. And they also have a bunch of local haunts come together, and they each put one room for a giant haunted house that you can then go through.
That
sounds
It's really cool. And food trucks.
Now, is this held in a convention center, or
this
do you take
is
over a school or something?
I need to pull up the exact one because I always get the location mixed up with another show that's similar to this.
You have to be ready for backup questions.
It's it's at the Washtenaw Farm Council grounds, which are in Ann Arbor. It's a big outdoor event space. There's one side that's set up for RV camping. There's horses and livestock shows there also.
So you might go into a haunt room and all of a sudden get stomped by horses.
Hey, better to be stomped on by a horse than to stomp in horse poop.
Okay. I think that might be the new motto of the Dragon's Roost. Everybody, you can check it out at the dragonsroost.biz. And of course, we have links in our show notes. Suzy, what are you up to? I have something here. Let's see. Boy, that came out smaller than I expected. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So, yes, in May, I don't think I have anything else going on. Oh, I do have something in April, but that's just my point. May 29th, 30th, and 31st, you can catch some of my crew. We're having a mini Toxic Adventure reunion at New Jersey HorrorCon. Like I said, it's May 29th and 31st. It's somewhere in New Jersey. I don't know my way around New Jersey, so I'm not quite sure of the town. But Mark Torgel, Mitch Cohen, Jennifer Baptist from the Toxic Adventure will be there, and Uncle Lloydie himself, Lloyd Kaufman, will be with us at this one. There's going to be so many people, I don't even know if I can count as high as the other people that are going to be there, but obviously the only ones I care about are my people here. They're going to have some commentary, all kinds of stuff. We're going to have a toxic mop. So, yes, everybody come out and see them.
And you've also gone to a movie premiere.
Yes, that's coming up in April. That is April 24th. A Blind Bargain. It is by Paul Bunnels. Bunnels, I don't know. I should probably learn how to say his last name, but it's his reimagining of the. I don't care. He's not one of my clients. I'm just going to support his show.
Wow.
But
Wow.
it is the reimagining of the lost 1922 Lone Chaney silent film, where a desperate young man strikes a deal with some crazed doctor, making his mother the subject for twisted experiments. So it's something sick and twisted and dark, which is right up my alley. It does star Crispin Glover and my guy Jed Rowan, who was in the wonderful movie we all watched, Bruce 1976. But it's making its premiere at the Angelica Film Center in New York City, Friday, April 24th. So I will be there for the red carpet. I'm very, very excited about that. And then after the premiere, they're going to have a Q&A with the director and all of the cast. So if you're in New York or you just want to take a trip to the city, everybody should go out and join us.
Fantastic.
Red carpet. How many tiaras are you going to wear?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to wear yet. And I don't even know the shoes. Like, I want to wear cute shoes, but the last thing I want to do is make my fat ass fall on the red carpet. Like, so this is very hard. I'm already freaking out about what to wear.
I'm looking at. Yeah.
I do have a ruby tiara, so I could wear that.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I don't care.
I suggest a kilt.
A kilt, yeah. Okay, and a baseball hat with perhaps a Saturday Morning Show logo on it. And
well, as long as you know my hair's on point and I make Jed look good, that's all that matters. I'm just the eye candy that night.
Hey, is anybody else noticing how scary Caidin looks right now?
I've been noticing it the whole time, dude.
This is really kind of disturbing.
He's totally pulling off your Waldo thing, where he's just there in the background.
I'm like constantly looking in the background. Is that a real person sneaking up behind?
You need to do this.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is those old PBS shows that they used to have where they're sitting in a library and it's well appointed, but this is like the murder version.
Did you see the thing that was over his shoulder a little while ago? That was really creepy.
Oh yeah,
the pale face that was there.
Yeah, that was weird. And there was something crawling off in the one corner. I didn't know what that was.
I wouldn't doubt it, seeing as right up the street is an apartment complex that tore down an ancient Indian burial ground to build its apartment complex. So I wouldn't doubt that you might have seen a few things coming from the direction of said ancient Indian burial ground. I got my back turned towards that area. So.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Mistake number one.
Suspense, you know, you got to really get that eerie feeling in there.
Turning the back only works on Freddy Krueger, and not that well, it turns out. They always try to do it, and it never works. All right. Hey, everybody, remember to rate us, like us, follow us on any of the podcast applications. YouTube in particular, it helps us find new viewers so we can keep doing our programming here on Otherworldly Culture. Did I cover everybody? Caidin, what have you been up to with Studio Screams? Anything going on there?
So actually, I'm in the middle of editing and producing probably my best project yet that I have in the vault. I went to one of the most haunted locations in America called Crenson Sanatorium and Prison.
Okay.
It's in PA. It was one of the best exploration footages that I have come with so far, including my name being said not once but twice on a spirit box, clear as day in a serial killer's cell.
And yet he has his back to all these evil spirits we keep seeing.
Of course I do. I spent time alone in the prison stuff, blindfolded and with headphones on.
Well, Caidin, I think you might remember early in our season we did an Urban Legends show.
Yes, we did.
And you talked about a crying bridge or a bridge.
Crybaby Bridge.
Crybaby Bridge. I believe there was just recently an announcement of a movie based on Crybaby Bridge.
Oh, cool.
I have to look this up.
I didn't read the whole article. I saw something come across my feed, and it was Facebook, where then you try to find it, and it's gone.
And it's gone forever? Yeah.
You can actually the new movie, you can follow it on Facebook. So they have a whole page now just about the movie and all about the legend and all about the babies. Yeah, so check it out.
That's great. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out.
So, Caidin, you can once again play around with crybabies.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right.
Jeff joke here.
All right. Everybody buy a book from Mike. See Suzy at a convention. Watch out with Caidin. He's constantly messing with powers beyond his control. And we want to remind everybody to come back next Thursday for another great show here on Otherworldly Culture. When you aim at horror, make sure you are dead on. See you next time. Otherworldlyculture.com.